Hey everyone, it's Andrew here, and we're back for part 2 of the start to finish pendant design process videos. And so now we're going to be covering the framework process for this, and basically what we're going to be doing is outlining the tourmaline that we're going to be setting into the frame and then creating the rest of the frame for the pendant. Sometimes I will set the center stone in there as well, but we're setting a cab for the center stone. And for cabochons, I usually like to keep a solid back there for them. I used to outline the cabochons as well, but that just kind of started being more of a hassle and started presenting more problems than if I just did the straight lines on the back, so that's why I approach it that way. As I said before, I will be doing a cold connection series where we do a frame that you don't need heat and you don't need soldering to build. You just twist the wires together to build it, but in this one we will be doing a soldering setup, and so you're going to be needing your face mask, you're going to be needing your goggles, you're going to be needing, obviously a place where you can put heat to metal. You can't just do that on a desktop, and I use Honeycomb ceramic blocks, which I'll leave a little, note in the description for you guys on that. Because I stack 2 of those up, and that creates a good enough surface between wood or a desktop that, it protects it from the heat of the soldering. And so, yeah, I hope this helps you guys learn a bit more about framing. Have a great day. Hey everyone, it's Andrew again, and we are here to do the frame. We are over at my soldering station. This is kind of separate from my usual workstation. The reason why is because I have my exhaust fan over here set up to my window, and so that way it blows all of the fumes outside and everything. You don't have to have an exhaust fan set up on your soldering setup. You can do it in a well-ventilated room, but if you have the ability to get, some sort of airflow system, I suggest that you do. So the other things that I have going on here are my ceramic blocks. I've got a cup of water just sitting right over here that I use to dunk my pieces in. And then this little guy is a really useful clip. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. But that, obviously withstands heat, and then I use that to solder some of my other solid metal pieces and stuff like that. And so the other thing that I have are pliers over here that are kind of specifically for getting blasted with the flame and also dumping into the water. So yeah, the other thing I have is my 18 gauge Argentium wire, and that is what I use for pretty much all of my frameworks. I've used 20 gauge, and that's just a little too small in my preference, and so this is what I like to use. And yeah, that's my basic soldering setup. So here we're going to start drawing the frame onto the pendants, and I kind of like to start with my middle line in the center. Another thing that I like to start with is drawing out where I'm going to be setting any stones into the frame instead of on top of it. I'm going to be getting our top portion of the pendant started here. And this is another reason why I really prefer this grid wire, or my apologies, this grid paper, because you can balance out where you're drawing in the lines on this design. So I can count, how many spaces over I need to be on this one versus this one. And I'm going to go on this side, which is 3, where I've accidentally drawn a little too far on this side. So I'm just going to draw my other frame line kind of on the inside there to help balance this out. Bring that down. And then bring this over here. going to bring that down just a bit further on this side, because this side comes down, you know, obviously a little bit further with the tourmaline here. Some supports as well. And when we get into it, we'll see if we need to put any extra long supports this way. And so, yeah, we are ready to rock and roll on the frame then. I like to draw it out just so that way I know what I'm doing, and this also helps me kind of see where I'll be tying the wires through the frame onto the design. Yeah. Okay. I also have my stones nearby, and what I'm going to do is begin by building this seat for the tourmaline. So I started by building my small seat for my tourmaline. We've bent the wire around a couple of times to make a nice little window for light to come through. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start by soldering this together so that way it's solid and we can move on to the next part. So another tip that I received for when you're applying heat to metal is that it will travel to the coldest part of the metal first, and that really made sense actually. You know, heat transfer, it will try to go to the coldest part first, and so when you're soldering, you know, you want to be soldering this area, but when you're applying heat and you first start applying the heat to this area, it's going to go all the way down this way. So a good practice is to try and get the whole section hot, even starting down here and progressing that way. So that way the heat, you're kind of, you know, pushing the heat that way, and you're, you know, making it go to that point. And so we're going to mask up and safety goggles and get the fan going, and then we'll start building the frame. I'm going to be kind of switching from this to the diagram of the pendant, and yeah, going back and forth and just building the frame from here. So now that we have the main portion of the frame constructed, I'm going to solder this together. As you can see, I've left off just a little bit of extra here, so these will fuse together. And then we're going to add a center part and hammer it all down and add the supports. So after I flatten it, when I've put all the supports on, I like to after I put all the supports on, I like to flatten it again and then re-hit it with the heat just to make sure everything is nice and fused together. And this is why I like doing the soldered frames, because it's just makes a really nice flush finish. I didn't get it perfect up here, you know, not perfectly straight, but that's okay. That will come out in the bale and that'll be all right. And now we're going to clip off the ends on all the sides here, file it down, and polish this baby up. Alrighty, we're back and we're going to start by clipping off the ends here and then filing down those and polishing it up. I like to save all those silver scraps. I hit my files with some burr life before I go after these. You might wonder why I do this over a cup, and that's just to catch the ferrous silver that's falling, you know, everywhere. It just kind of helps me keep a clean desk. And some of you might be wondering what the burr life is, well, that is this blue lubricant that it's a lubricant that you use for your burrs, and you can also use it for your saw blades and your files. Now we're all filed down and ready to polish. We're going to be doing a progression of the bristle discs, the 3M bristle discs. We're going to be starting with the yellow, going to blue, going to pink, and then going to green. And then I'm going to finish up with some polishing papers. Well, here we are with the polished frame. You can see our little window for the tourmaline to let light go through, and it's all smoothed out on the edges where the wire was coming off, and we're ready to rock and roll. So this concludes part 2. Next we will be doing the detailing and then starting on some stone setting and stuff. And yeah, there's probably going to be 3 or more parts. I'm hoping to condense this down into as little of parts as I can, but there might be more and stuff. So thank you all so much, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have a great day.